What is up, everyone? Thanks for joining me again here in the Man Cave for Philly Sports Talk from the Mighty Kingdom. And we start with some breaking news. Well, I guess the news has been out for a little bit here. But ESPN's Zach Lowe reported that pending the results, that of course Joel Embiid will be having surgery to address the orbital fracture in his left eye, and it will be performed in the coming days. And this is right off ESPN, the app here, and it's ESPN. Zach Lowe reported that pending the results of the surgery, Embiid could return in 2 to 4 weeks. Of course, the 76ers clinched a playoff berth uh, uh, earlier in the week, and the playoffs begin April 14th. So, hot off the ESPN app right there. Um, yeah, obviously not good situation wise. With for a few reasons. A is the Sixers have been playing some of their best basketball all year. 8 straight wins, I believe it is. They won again last night, even though Embiid got hurt. Um, the Even though Embiid got hurt, oh, I guess I clicked the wrong thing here. Oh, here it is. Trying to multitask here. Even though Embiid got hurt, they were able to beat the New York Knicks. And by the way, big shout out to Dario Saric. He has put up an incredible season in his second season. Could have been a Rookie of the Year last year. Of course, didn't get it. Neither did JoJo, for that matter. But Dario has had a great season. He's one of the big reasons why this team is where they are right now. And I know Embiid and Simmons get all the credit. And yeah, look, they're superstars. But Sarge is a solid contributor, solid player. He's part of the process. Let's not forget. And he has really put up great numbers. One of the better 3-point shooters too. Going into this coming trip against the Hawks and the Hornets. Look, they're still winnable games to come in the schedule, even without JoJo. It looks like, based off that report, Embiid is lost for the rest of the regular season. Now we're going to talk about into the playoffs. Is he going to be able to play it all in the first round? 2 to 4 weeks. I mean, you talk about right now. It's and the surgery hasn't been done yet, so we could be looking at that starting next week. So obviously the playoffs start, I believe, in 2 weeks. So that kind of puts him at best case scenario. But the 4 week range would put him actually possibly past the first round. Now it does get a little more difficult now that the Sixers are still right on the heels of the Cavaliers for third in the Eastern Conference. It is huge, 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 and I will repeat that, huge, 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 for this team to get home court advantage in the first round, regardless if it's 4 or 3. And without JoJo, it might be a little tough to get 3. But for me, if they can get home court, this team is 19-1 in their last 20 home games. They have not only done that in those last 20, they have been a very good home team all season long. And Wells Fargo is becoming one of the more tougher places for an opponent to win. The only loss the Sixers have at home recently was against the Pacers, and like I said in the vlog last week, that was a tough one. That certainly was a game that it was a shame because it was against a playoff caliber team. It's like the statement you want to make, and I don't know, but you're not going to win every game. There's going to be losses, but that was a tough one. That was definitely a tough one. But the Sixers still, I mean, they have the destiny in their hands for home court. There are winnable games, even though Embiid is going to be out. You talk about Atlanta, you talk about Charlotte. Yes, it is tougher. I mean, look, you lose a star player, like Embiid, it is tougher to win. And I know we can never say never around here anymore, because the Eagles, certainly after the situation that they had, still went on to win the Super Bowl. Not that there's any pressure on these other teams, but just saying. They didn't use injuries as an excuse. And the Sixers certainly the road to get that home court advantage becomes a little tougher now without Embiid. The rest of the season, more than likely, um, pending the result. How well the surgery goes. So that is the situation in Sixers land. Sixers again, one of the hottest teams in the league. They've won, I believe, 8 straight. They won again last night against the Knicks, and they play 2 games now on the road against Atlanta and Charlotte. Again, 2 winnable games, even without Embiid. But it is tougher because you lose a guy who's not only a very good, offensive player, but a very good defensive player too. So other guys got to step up, like Sarge has been doing all year. I mean, now you look for some of the veterans too, like Amir Johnson, like J.J. Redick, even Robert Covington. I mean, you got to step up in these situations. Yeah, they're going to have some help getting more points in games with stopping the other teams too. Again, these next couple games are winnable. When you take a look at who they're playing, most of the rest of the season they're going to be playing against teams that aren't in the playoffs. Not to take any of those games for granted, but that's what the situation is. You're still going to have winnable games coming up. I mean, losing Embiid for the rest of the regular season more than likely is still not an excuse to just go out there and, go below 500 the rest of the way and really hurt yourself and the chances in the first round. Certainly this team, as I said, plays so well at home. You want them to be home for that first matchup, whether it's against the Pacers, the Wizards, whoever, the Cavs, whoever it is. You want to play them here. You want the home court. And I believe it's a 5-game series. It's a best of 5, rather. So it's even more paramount to get the home court. And for this team playing so well, I mean, there's even been whispers, the way this team has been playing, of, maybe even contending for an Eastern Conference title. I don't know. I think it's a little early. I definitely think that there's teams that have been together longer that still are going to be tough, like a Toronto, even a Cleveland. Even though they have a lot of new parts, they still got that number 23. He's still pretty good. And yes, I still want him here next season. But getting the home court is still important, and let's hope that they can still do that, even if it's as a 4. Let's hope that they get the home court in the first round. And you know what? If they get JoJo back during that first round, even better. So, speedy recovery, JoJo, and, we look forward to your return, probably in a mask. They should give him a dog mask, just keep that going. It worked for the Eagles. It worked pretty good. Maybe either Long or Johnson can give JoJo one of their dog masks. He can come out. I mean, that would be one of the all-timers, wouldn't it? Even if it's not, obviously what he's going to wear on the court, but if he actually comes out for warm-ups or something in the dog mask, that I wouldn't put it past him to do that. I really wouldn't. So the other news for today, it's been a tough night, hasn't it? I mean, the JoJo news comes out. Now that we know what happened, obviously it's the season opener for Major League Baseball today, and the Phillies got their season started on the wrong foot. And I still have a lot of optimism for this team, and you can't dissect baseball games like you can in football. Obviously, it's 1 game a week in football. Baseball, it's 182 games, whatever it is, just a lot of games, and you can't. The thing about baseball, though, is that it is a game of second guessing. It really is. Even the best of teams, it is. It drives you nuts if you let it. And Gabe Kapler's a first-year manager. Obviously, he's never managed before on any other team in the majors, so this is like the first chance. And obviously, this is a guy with a lot of the analytics background. We're going to do things differently. And analytics, if you have the guy that you yourself, Gabe Kapler, named as your ace, as your number 1 starter, and he's out there mowing down the Braves in 6 1/3 innings, and I understand there was a guy on second with 1 out, and then Freddie Freeman was coming to the plate, but Freddie Freeman isn't going to hit a 5-run home run. If you want to talk about the analytics and what's the win percentage though still, right? It's just way up. There's no reason to take Aaron Nola out of that game. He threw 68 pitches, which is still not a lot, going into the sixth inning of a ball game, and you take him out. And what happened? The wheels come off. And look, the guy who came in could have struck out Freddie Freeman, and they get, no damage done in any, whatever. But still, you got to question, what are you taking out your ace? And I know it's a long season, and you don't want to blow the guys off. I'm not saying, put him out there, let him throw over 100 pitches, and in the first game of the season and complete game and everything. Yeah, relievers are there for a reason, and you want to use them. I get that, but there's no need to take Aaron Nola out when he's through 68 pitches of dominant baseball on the road in the season opener. There's just no reason to remove him. Unless there's some injury or something. If it's a one-run game, you're worried about Freddie Freeman, let's get a guy in who has great numbers versus him, okay. But there's no need to take out Aaron Nola. Nor, I think, was there a real reason not to start Odubel Herrera, who's one of your best players, who's a guy who was an all-star for this team, at center field. And it's a whole new way we have to think now. This is a whole new ball game, right, with the analytics and this and that. But why are you not starting one of your better players? And why are you taking Rhys Hoskins out of the game? Rhys Hoskins isn't a butcher in the outfield. I mean, I get it. Last year, they removed him from the outfield for defensive reasons or whatever, but they put him at first base because at the time they had Tommy Joseph. So they removed Tommy Joseph, put Rhys Hoskins at first. Well, you can't do that now because they have Carlos Santana. I mean, you could. I don't think Santana would be very happy about it after coming here as a free agent. But you have Carlos Santana, at first, so you can't just take him. It's different this year than it was last year. But why are you taking Rhys Hoskins out of the game? He had 2 doubles in a game. You don't think his bat might come in handy? Even if at the time you're up. There's still no reason. This guy could be an all-star this year. You don't take him out of the game. It makes no sense. Even you can throw whatever analytics. I don't care. I see with my eyes guys who can play. And one guy who can play as much as a headache the guy can be at times. But Odubel Herrera, you don't even start him. So you're without his bat for most of the game. You don't start, and you remove Rhys Hoskins. So you never even gave one guy a chance, and then you took the other guy out. And the other guy, who I was happy for, in Scott Kingery, and I know he's going to get plenty of opportunities. He's going to have his shot. You paid a lot of money to keep him on the big club, and okay, welcome to the show. And you don't even put him in the game. Pinch hit, anything, nothing. Again, there's a lot of failure in baseball. It's a game that there's so many second guessing, so many opportunities that you could have been done this way and it wasn't. But so many opportunities lost in this game. Taking out Aaron Nola, taking out Rhys Hoskins, not starting Odubel Herrera, and not even putting Kingery in there as a pinch hitter. I can't. It's just hard to fully grasp. So the Phillies go down 8-5. Long story short, they go down 8-5. Nick Markakis, the veteran, hits a 3-run home run off Hector Neris in the 9th inning in a 5-5 game. It's just the wheels fell off. They were up 5-0 in the 6th inning, and even on the road, that has to be a win. When you have your ace pitching the way he was, keep him in the game. Phillies win the game. That's the end of the story. Even if you make the other moves, even if you remove Rhys Hoskins and don't put Kingery in there as a pinch hitter, or even if Odubel's in there, whatever. If Aaron Nola had a chance to go through 7 in the way he was pitching in this game, they win the game. They win the game. They are 1-0 right now. So again, it's second guessing. It's armchair manager, I guess, but I know one thing, and I'm not a big league manager. I'll never be a big league manager. But if I'm playing the game on the PS4 circuit, and Aaron Nola is dealing, I'm not taking him out, and I'm not removing Rhys Hoskins from the game, and I'm starting Odubel Herrera at center field, So it's something that I hope that this isn't the trend. This is okay, a one-time deal. It's his welcome to the major leagues moment. Made a mistake. I hope this isn't the norm, and I know things are going to be different this year with him at manager. He's going to try different things. I expect the unexpected. I get that. I hope it's not Chip Kelly 2.0. I'll tell you that much. Oh, that just sent a shiver up my spine. You don't even know. But I hope this isn't the norm. But this was definitely frustrating. A frustrating way to start the season. In a winnable game. Winnable game. 6 hits for the Phils. They get 5 runs. Now, look, you get 5 runs on the road and your ace is on the mound. I mean, that's got to be a win. You know, it's a shame of it. They wasted a good performance by him. They got 5 runs. Again, opening day, Cesar Hernandez hits a home run. Rhys Hoskins with a pair of doubles. Knapp with 2 RBI. RBI by it's trying to say. I don't see the. Oh, here it is up here. Yeah, the RBI by Hoskins had 1. Hernandez with the home run. Franco with an RBI. Knapp with 2 RBI. Again, look, they get 5 runs, and your ace is on the mound pitching tremendous. And that's a win. That's a win. Even if they didn't score another run, which they didn't, but they got 5 runs with your ace, that's got to be a win. That's got to be a win. But as it is, the Braves do come back and they win 8-5. Hopefully we have a better results tomorrow night. The good thing about baseball, unlike football, is the good thing with baseball is you play most of the time the next day or the next night. So you don't have to kind of sit there, wait a week. And we've all done this, haven't we? I know this year we didn't have to do it too much. But in the past we had to do this in Eagles Nation, sit and lament these games for a week. But no, disappointing. A disappointing way to start the season. But I will say this. I'm still looking forward to this year. I really am excited for the young crop of players they have. Obviously, Rhys Hoskins, Aaron Nola. My one of my favorite guys from minor league, my favorite guy from their minor league system last year, Scott Kingery, brought up, and he's going to play all over the place, which is pretty exciting. We'll see. J.P. Crawford, Jorge Alfaro, Nick Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on. They have so many young players, and are they going to make mistakes? Absolutely. This is a game that you will make mistakes. Even the greatest make mistakes. There's a lot of failure in baseball. There just is. You can't get a hit every time. You can't get on base every time. You can't get the out every time. But I am very excited for this young crop of Phillies. The last time we had a promising young crop of Phillies, there's a photo on the wall back there of some of them. And I have another photo back here that you can kind of barely see, but it's a World Series photo. The last time we had a young crop of good talent that came up through the system, we had a parade. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing the progression of these players. And we talk about what the Sixers stand for, right? The trust the process, right? And then Ben Simmons and Embiid and Sarge. And we'll see about Markelle Fultz. He made, start his restart. Of course, he got JoJo hurt. Yeah, well, but it's not like that was a purposeful thing. They both were going after a ball. It happens. But anyhow, yes, the young talent, the fact that they're all here together, and they still have some young guys to come through their minor league system, which is one of the better minor league systems in the game right now. And I do want to give some credit where credit's due. I couldn't stand this guy when he was the GM because I didn't think he was a good GM. But as a talent evaluator, as a guy who has an eye for young talent to draft and to grow in the minor league system, tip the hat to Ed Wade. Ed Wade was the Phillies GM for a time when the Phillies were not very good. And most of my life, the Phillies have not been very good. They've had some moments, the 93 team, of course, and the run they had when they had Utley and Howard and Rollins and Hamels and all those guys, of course. But Ed Wade had flaws as a GM, never quite knew how to make a trade. But the one thing that he excelled at, and he still does, is finding young talent and growing minor league systems. Ed Wade was with the Phillies when they drafted Chase Utley, when they drafted Jimmy Rollins, Pat Burrell, uh, um, Cole Hamels, Carlos Ruiz was brought in. The Rule 5 pickup of Shane Victorino. These are guys that became household names around here. These are guys that all helped this team have one of their greatest stretches in franchise history, and they were all crucial parts of that team. And I know Pat Gillick gets a lot of credit, and rightfully so. He was the architect. He helped bring in other guys, in trades and whatnot. Was very shrewd in doing that. Was very good. Had a great Hall of Fame career. But Ed Wade was really the what built this minor league system and brought in those players that became star players on this team and gave us great seasons and a World Series championship. Ed Wade goes to Houston, does the same thing with the Astros. A lot of those young players that you see now, they were brought in during his regime there. Ed Wade was brought back as an advisory role for the organization, and yet again, no surprise, the minor league systems are flourishing. We have a lot of young talent coming up that you see right now. It was Ed Wade's watch, and you know what? Couldn't stand him as a GM. He had a lot of flaws in that, but when it comes to finding young talent, I'll tell you one thing. I want Ed Wade in the corner every time because that guy knows how to find talent in baseball. And there's been 2 championships won by 2 different teams because of it. And the Phillies, again, have a great young crop of talent coming up. And Ed Wade was part of the reason why they found some of these players. The Phillies are also flourishing overseas. They're opening up more baseball clinics in other parts of the country, such as the Dominican Republic. They opened up a huge facility there last year. So they want to have their footprint in other parts of the world. Even if all these players never come to Philly to play with the Phillies kind of having a little role in developing some of these players, I think it's tremendous. I mean, you see the baseball, it's a world game. And for the Phillies to have their footprint in other countries, where they really haven't, so much in the past, I think it's a great thing. And obviously, you look at the team right now, there's a lot of different players from different countries, a lot of Latino players playing well and being a big part of this team. And I think that says a lot for the organization and how they were able to kind of, find and have their outreach in all different places. And you see the teams that win on a routine basis, it's those teams that do that, those teams that build their minor league system. Listen, in baseball, you have to have a minor league system. If you don't, you're screwed. Even the mighty Yankees, for all those years, hey, their core 4, back in the day, they all came up through the system. I know that they're known for spending, and they are. But it's what they do in the minor league systems. When that team is having their most success, and at least when you talk about the 90s and now what they're doing again with the guys, they have a lot of homegrown players. The Phillies have done it. They are flourishing at all levels in the minor league systems. It's a strong minor league system, and it had to be repaired because for a time it wasn't. And they gave up a lot of players, a lot of young players. Not all of them panned out for other teams, but when they were doing really good and they were winning, division titles and going to the playoffs and going to World Series, they made trades and they diminished a lot of their minor league, prospects. So they had to rebuild that again. And again, this where Ed Wade kind of falls into this again. Rebuild it, and it's really stronger than ever if you think about it. All levels have all played well, and a lot of those players we see on the big club right now, and there's more to come too. It's exciting. Obviously, when you talk about young ball players, you never know what you're going to get, and it's not always a hit. But when you do, and you hit with multiple players, what we had in the 2007 to 2012 range, when they were going to the playoffs, they won the World Series, they were in another World Series, and like I said, those players who came up through the system became household names, and some of the greatest players ever to wear the Phillies uniform, and this is what you have to do. You have to suffer sometimes. You go through the town years, but then you rebuild your minor league system, and the next thing you know, if you're lucky and you hit on those players, years from now you're looking at the Cubs, you're looking at the Astros, you're looking at even the Yankees and the Red Sox, that were able to do that, build their systems. The Cardinals do it. And those are the teams that have success in recent years, and a lot of those players from those teams came up through the system, and that's what you got to do. The Giants did it. The Dodgers did it. So, all the teams that have that success, the Indians, minor league system, strong minor league system, and it starts from there. Some of these teams have what they call the way, like the Cardinals way, the Orioles way, whatever, and it's starting in the minor league system and it's continuing on in the pros. And I'd like to think the Phillies kind of have that too, developing players down in the farm system and then coming up here to have success. And they did it once, obviously. Well, they did it a couple times. But obviously, most recently now we talk about the team that we have right now. A lot of those players that are, again, hopefully will become household names. To Rhys Hoskins, to King Reese, to J.P. Crawfords and Aaron Nola and such came up through the system, and here they are now. And hopefully we get the benefit from that, in some years. As far as what I think the Phillies will do this year, again, I'm excited. Are they going to, contend for a World Series this year? No, but I can see them kind of doing what the Twins did last year. The Twins last year were a surprising team. No one really expected much from them, but they had a really good young crop of players, and they brought in just enough, veterans to add to the mix. And, they surprised and went to the wild card. Now they lost in the Bronx against the Yankees, but no one thought they would be there before the season, and there they were in the wild card in the playoffs. Will the Phillies contend for a wild card this year? I think it's possible, but I will say this: I think this is a team that could win 86 to 87 games, and of course they can't continue to do what they did today. But I think that they will be a surprising team this year. I think that, hey, there's a lot of young talent, and sometimes that young talent, it's like learning on the go, and sometimes it doesn't always go that well to start. But if they can find consistency in this lineup, and they can find consistency in the pitching rotation and the bullpen, and that's a lot of ifs, I get that, but if they can and grow, as a collective unit, I think this team has a really good chance to contend, possibly for a wild card in the National League. Like I said, 86, 87 wins, I can see them doing that, being in that type of level. In the end, will they make the wild card? I'm going to say no. I think they get edged out by one of those other teams. But I do think that it's a learning experience this year. I think that they can grow from this. And if they get close to the wild card this year, I think they'll certainly be a player. Next offseason, you talk about some of those big names that are out there. I can certainly see them. They have enough money. I can certainly see them bringing in one of those players, maybe a Harper, maybe a Machado. We'll see. But I think this year, it's the importance of this year, obviously, is Gabe Kapler, getting his feet wet as a manager. Hopefully he learns from some of these mistakes he made today. And for the young talent, to grow. I think that's the big thing for this season. And like I said, I can see this team winning 86, 87 games, contending for a wild card, maybe getting edged out by one of those other teams. But I think it would be a successful season if that's the case. And I'm real excited for this young crop of players. I'm real happy that King Reese, part of this team, made the opening day roster. Didn't get on the field, but he's here. He'll play all over the place. We'll get to see him. That's exciting. The progression of other guys like Rhys Hoskins and Crawford and Nola and all those, it's exciting. I mean, they have a lot of young players, and you never know with young players, but I'm excited for it. I really am. So they will finish this season against this series against the Braves, the next two games in Atlanta, and then they go to New York to take on the Mets. Then their home opener is next week. I think it's Friday against the Marlins, and then I hope to go to that game Saturday night, which is their opening night. They're giving out Be Bold T-shirts to adults. Ooh, a free item. Ooh. So I am looking forward to this season. I'm glad it's back. Baseball, I like it. I do enjoy the baseball season, and I enjoy the warmer weather, for sure, particularly after winters where we had a bunch of nor'easters come through here in a span of 2-3 weeks, and that wasn't fun. So I definitely look forward to today was a beautiful day out there. This weekend's supposed to be nice, so good to have the warmer weather. It's good to have baseball back, and, of course, our beloved fighting Phils. The young Phillies, the baby Phils. Good to see. I'm looking forward to it. And again, 86, 87 win, somewhere in that range, compete for a wild card spot, and we'll take it from there. See what happens. You never know. So that's the Phillies talk. I guess I just want to end it real quick. Obviously, we know the big game this week is Villanova in the Final Four. taking on Kansas on Saturday night. The second game that night, of course, Loyola Chicago, the Cinderella of the tournament, playing Michigan before that, and then Villanova and Kansas tip off. I think Nova has a great chance. I mean, they're well coached. This is a really good team. It's going to be tough. I mean, Kansas is a good team too, but I think Villanova has a good chance to win that game and then advance to the championship game and have a great chance to win that one. And if they do that, that's 2 out of the next 3. And oh, by the way, if they do it, that means the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Villanova won a Final Four for the second time in 3 years. The Sixers made the playoffs for the first time since 2012. The Flyers have a chance to make the playoffs. Hey, Pittsburgh, I think that balance of power from the western side of the state to the eastern side of the state, I know you like being called the City of Champions. We might be the City of Champions. How do you like that? All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching as always. Hey, big win for the Flyers last night. They beat the Colorado Avalanche 2-1 in Colorado. It was a gutty game, a gutty win. I didn't watch the whole thing. I fell asleep. It was a late night game, East Coast time, anyhow. But it was a big. I saw the highlights today on YouTube in the morning, and it was a gutty win. It was one of those games that you had to have. You know, I know it was a tough loss tonight. Boy, I mean, I don't know what it is about the Flyers. They play these teams on these big losing skids, and they can't beat them. You know, the Red Wings and the shootout, the wonderful shootout, and then the Stars in overtime. But they did rebound nicely to beat the Avalanche, and that was a good win for them because the Avalanche, like the Flyers, are fighting for a playoff berth, and they were at home in their barn, as it were, in hockey terms. So it was a good win. I know Neuwirth came back, then he got hurt again. Mrazek, I know he's been much maligned, but good job by him. Hey, you know what? He came in there. He finished off the game. Didn't give up a goal. Big win for the Flyers. They get a big 2 points. The Panthers lost, so they have a little more cushion there for there's that word again, the wild card. But a big win for them, and hopefully they can use that as kind of like a catapult here. They have a really tough game coming up this weekend, albeit at home against the Bruins. The Bruins, though, can help the Flyers because the Panthers, 3 of their next of their remaining games this season are against the Bruins. I think I heard that correct. So the Bruins, obviously, we play them on Saturday, but they can help the Flyers by beating the Panthers a few times in regulation, hopefully, so the Panthers don't get points. Of course, the Devils still there. Hey, the Flyers still have a chance to pass the Penguins. You know, as gloom as things looked, you know, losing in the overtime and then the Stars in the overtime, they're still right there with the Penguins. So there's a shot. Who knows? Yeah, you never know, but they're there. There's a lot of teams bunched in there. It's them, Columbus, the Penguins, the Devils, the Panthers are still alive. So to be determined. We'll just leave it like that. But a big 2 points for them last night. Give them credit. Back-to-back after a tough loss in overtime against the Stars to come out and get a big 2 points in a gutty game against the Avalanche. Good win for them last night. And again, they'll play Saturday. I believe it's Saturday against the Bruins. And then, you know, we'll see what happens the rest of the way. Hopefully, as long as they keep getting points, you know, that's a good thing. So, look, big weekend up and coming. Obviously, the Phillies continue their series against the Braves. You got Nova playing in the Final Four. You got the Flyers' big game against the Bruins. You got the Sixers, obviously, without JoJo. But, hey, Fultz is back. We'll see how he progresses the rest of the season. Oh, excuse me. And, you know, a big weekend of sports coming up, of course, locally here in Philly. And some excitement, you know, to be had, too. We get to see the young kids again with the Phillies. Nova in the Final Four. Big games for the Flyers and Sixers for playoff seeding and playoff, you know, situations going on here. And exciting rest of the way for the Sixers and the Flyers. Get well soon, JoJo. Hopefully the surgery goes well. And you're more off for the 2 weeks rather than 4. But, you know, we'll see how that goes. That's it. I got nothing else. So that's going to do it for this episode, this vlog, if you will, for Philly sports from the Mighty Kingdom. I'll see you on the next one. Probably have another vid for you maybe Sunday, you know, after the Saturday game for Villanova. We'll see how that goes Saturday night. And, hey, if Hopefully they're playing for the national championship 2 out of the last 3 years, which is awesome. Great job by Jay Wright. Great job by the Cats. To this point, they have had a tremendous tournament. And hopefully, hey, you know what? One game at a time, but they're in the Final Four. And the last time the Final Four was in, they were in the Final Four in the state of Texas. It went pretty good, which was just a few years ago in Houston. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching again. Let's go Nova. Let's go Sixers. Let's go Flyers. And let's go Phillies. Hey, let's get a win, okay, tomorrow. Enough of this blowing lead stuff. Let's just get a win tomorrow, okay? All right, guys. Guys and gals out there, take care, and see you around the channel.